promise, in this video I will not bore you with too much theory. More importantly, today is all about playing and getting to know your kalimba and the intervals on the kalimba. This is interval training. Through different exercises we try to gain more control and more knowledge about the instrument. In the last video I tried to explain where our musical system comes from and why different intervals sound either more harmonious or less. And now it's time to really check it out and go through the 7 intervals of the diatonic major scale. And we will learn a bit more about it, but it goes with the flow. Okay, let's see how we can go about this. I want to keep the same order as I did in the previous video, where we go from the most harmonious to the most dissonant interval. And we will start with the perfect octave. This is all about getting to know your instrument really well. There are countless of ways on how you could exercise these. So I will give you just an idea, and you can even invent your own small little exercises. I like to go through sequentially. That is, first of all, it will challenge you in a way that you need to focus, but over time you will see that you will get really, really fast. Don't try to be fast at the beginning. The speed will come on its own. Alright, so I will go through and then I'll explain you how I play through the octave. By the way, every note on the kalimba has an octave. Some of them have even 2 octaves. So for example, the C has 2, D has 2, E has 2. And then the rest has only 1 octave. And when I go through, you will see that I need to adjust my movement, because on the higher notes, I need to actually reverse the whole sequence. But I will go through very slowly. So I try to go through each octave. And again, every note has an octave. So that's one way to do it. You could, of course, try different ways to play through. For example, you could play all the octaves in parallel, like this. You will see, if you do that more often, you will get to a point where you actually don't have to think anymore. The next one is the perfect fifth. The perfect fifth is the most harmonious interval next after the octave. Can recognize it very easily with always jumping over one of the tongues here. C and G is the perfect fifth. G is the perfect fifth of C, and we have that twice. We have it here So here, and then on one octave higher. every note on the kalimba has a perfect fifth except the B. The B has a diminished fifth, or you can also call it the devil's interval. We can do the same thing. We can go through, we can play all the perfect fifth intervals up and then down. And let's play all the fifth interval, including the diminished. And you will see that it's only once here. Okay, I played on one side up and down, the other side up and down, and then alternating. It's very hard on the mind, believe me. But if you do that more often, you will see that you get faster without much thinking. You could also learn smaller sequences. That's also possible. You play and then you go to the next one. So there are a lot of different ways in how you can work on it and think about it. By the way, one thing to remember is what is also very good to remember the different intervals is to think of a famous song. For example, the perfect fifth is the perfect fourth is actually just the inverse function of the perfect fifth. It's a bit different because it's always alternating on two sides. For example, F is the perfect fourth of C, but it's also C is the perfect fifth of F, as you can see here. Let's concentrate on the inverse function, the perfect fourth, which is CF. C, F, D, G, E, A, F, B, and F and B is not perfect fourth. It's an augmented fourth, which means it's a half step above the F, above the perfect fourth. The inverse is the diminished. You could also see it as a diminished fifth, but it's not. It's from the perspective of the F, and F is Lydian, so the fourth note in the Lydian scale is the B. And it has a perfect fifth, so you try to not replace. You should try to not have a perfect fifth and a diminished fifth in one scale. That's why this is called an augmented fourth. Okay, so we have C, F, D, G, E, A, F, B, G, C, A, D, B, E, C, F again. F and B. You get the point. The perfect fourth sequence. And there are different ways to look at it. And if you try to concentrate, it's harder than having a strategy. But I will get to that very quickly. So if I try to concentrate and play the perfect fourth upwards, it's very tricky. Now, if I try to play it downwards, it's really hard to think it through. So this is all in your head, really. It's actually not that difficult if you have strategy. So for example, if I play here going upwards, I play the F, the C, then I jump one back, the D. I go to the G, which is the perfect fourth of D, then I jump back to E. And if I do that alternating, I automatically play the sequence, the perfect fourth sequence. So look closely. And so on. And the same when I go back. The major 6 sound is this. But we will combine the major 6 and the minor 6 because some of the combinations throughout the different notes are either minor 6 or major 6. And they are the inverse of the minor third and major third. So the inverse of a major 6, C, A, if I invert that, is A, C, becomes a minor third. So major 6, minor third. A minor 6, on the other hand, which is, for example, the E to C or the A to F. A minor 6 translates to a major third. So remember, major 6, minor third, minor 6, major third, major 6 sequence. It's really tricky. This is probably for me the most trickiest. So we could try to have another strategy here. So we could say C to A, we jump down, jump over 1, and here's a jump of 2. So that maybe gives us a clue on how we could maneuver through this. So it's all about, again, can we find a strategy in how we could move through, or can we make it simpler for us? Going back is actually more difficult. pretty hard, but I think it's one of the best exercises ever. Okay, with that we conclude the major 6 and the minor 6. Now we can go to the major third and minor third. The major third is this is just the inverse functions, but they are much more easy because they are just lying next to each other. And so on. So we have major third. Not everything's a major third here, by the way. Some notes have a major third, some have a minor third. There are actually more minor thirds than major thirds. Major third is C to E, F to A, and G to B. This is the minor third. This is the major third intervals. So we could practice in a way like this. So only playing the major third, and then we could play the minor thirds, all the minor thirds, which is D, E, E to G, A to C, and B to D. I was just playing around here, but you get the point. We can also play the minor third and major third sequence, going through all the notes of the kalimba. The third sequence you also can play with trying to play both notes at the same time. So for example, like this. It's also a challenge to a coordination of the fingers. We're almost done. We only have left the major second and the minor second. And again, some of the notes have either the major second or the minor second. Again, it becomes a bit more difficult. And also the major second and the minor second is the inverse of the minor seventh and major seventh. Okay, the major second, we have the major second on C and D, D and E, then F and G, G and A and B, and then again D, C and D. And the one in between are the minor second, which is E to F and B to C. But we can play the sequence with the major and minor second together. and so on. And then you can try to play it backwards. You can also play it as a double stroke again, like this. It's again quite a riddle for the brain, really. Last but not least, we have the major and minor seventh, and these are just the inverse function of the minor and major second. The interval from C to B is a major seventh, and the inverse is the minor second. Again, the closer the notes are together, the more dissonant they are. Even though we play the same notes here, playing it closer together makes them much more dissonant. So, for example, the B or the major seventh, as it's already called here, 7, is part of the major 7, the C major 7th chord. Sounds very harmonious. And then an example for a minor 7 is the major second interval as an inverse. So for example, the C to D, it is also dissonant, but not as much as the B to C. So there's so if I play now the inverse of D to C, the closer the notes are together, the pitch, the more dissonant they sound, but it's less dissonant than the minor second or major 7th. So in order to play the major minor 7th sequence, it's easy because it's always on the same side. So for example, the major 7th of C is the B, jumping over 2 of the tongues, and then alternating on the other side. So for example, C, B, D, D, E, E, D, F, E, and so on. Now I made it simpler, but you get the point, and then you can of course play it backwards. And so on. Really cool exercises. I hope it helps you a bit. And in the next video, it's gonna be so fun because I will use a drone and we will improvise. I'll just Google any drone on YouTube and I'll play the drone and we'll improvise. And I'll show you in the next video how that actually works. Yeah, I hope you like this video. In the next video, we will play along a drone sound, not a drone which flies in the air, but a drone, a note, a bass note, like a floor, where on top we're gonna play our kalimba as a first way to improvise. And it's about shifting your understanding of music again. So I'm really looking forward to this. And this video will come very, very soon. I'm your bear, and this is Cute Noise.